Okay, so I'm going to show you how to create a drum track from a MIDI file. There's a lot of different ways to record drums. The way that I've started doing it is I'll take a groove that's already been recorded or created and I'll edit that to fit the song that I need. Okay, so I'm not going to go too deep into explanations on any of that stuff. Just a MIDI file is basically like a digital file that's been created that tells whatever beat machine or drum machine you have when to trigger each specific drum. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna pull up the drum machine or beat machine that I use. This is created by Native Instruments. This is Kontakt 5. This is their player, and you can load like many different types of instruments. I'm just using it for their drums right now. This system or the drums that I'm using is Abbey Road Modern Drummer, and I like those drums. They sound really nice. They were recorded literally at Abbey Road Studio, so they're legit. Um, okay, the first thing you're going to do when you're creating your drum track, first thing you want to do is make sure you're in the right tempo. Okay. Um, this is where you change the beats per minute or the tempo of your song. Okay, so I'm gonna go for around 100 beats per minute. That's what I want this song to sound like. Okay, so I click it, change it to what I want it to, hit enter, and it saves it. Okay, so now any beat that I play in Kontakt will be at 100 beats per minute. Okay. Now the next thing you got to do is find the bass for the track you're going to create. So it's like a recipe. We're going to create the basics for what we're trying to do here. Okay. So I'm going to go down to the grooves. So you scroll down here to grooves, and you find a groove that's closely matches what you're trying to do. I mean, you're going to change it a lot, but the you want it to sound similar to what you're trying to do. So the song I'm gonna do some um slow. It'll be kind of like a slow bluesy song. So let's go soul R&B. I don't know. Okay, I found the groove I want to use for this song. It's gonna be in the soul R&B ballad, and then this one here, eighth hat closed side. It's the second one. So I'll show you how you come up with those. So you go to grooves, you find the style that you want. In this case, it's soul, ballad, and then this one. So you click it, you'll see this change. This little section right here, you'll see change. So if I have that one selected, see how it's that 01. If I select that one, it's that. You can preview what that sounds like. You hit the play button. Okay, that's pretty close to what we want. Okay. Again, remember this is just the base for what you're creating. You're gonna change that to sound how you want, because that's not actually what I want it to sound like. I want it to sound quite a bit different, but that's got the basic parts that I need in it, and then you can flavor it up any way you want. All right, here's where the magic happens to get the MIDI file from this player into your recording system. Okay. In this case, the recording system, or the DAW Digital Audio Workspace. I'm using Sonar X3. You can use any one that you want, but I just like Sonar. Okay. Um. Anyways, so in order to get this file from Kontakt Player to Sonar, this little like up down arrow key, you click that and you drag it onto the workspace. Let's put it at 2. Give us a little bit of room up front in case you want to change some stuff up front. Gives us a little bit of space. If you move it to here, to 3, I think you can get 2 of these in here. So if you wanted to add another measure in before that, excuse me, you can put another one and then edit it later, okay? So all I did is I select this with your mouse, you left click it, grab it, and then drag and drop onto Sonar, okay? In Sonar, you need to make sure you have a MIDI track in your track list here. So this one is this one's the Kontakt player MIDI track. You can also add one. You just go to insert MIDI track, and it'll load up a MIDI track. You can see like the little MIDI plug. That's the old school MIDI plugs. That's what they used to look like in the 80s. And I think they were still using those up until USB became the prominent way of using MIDI. I mean, you can still find old stuff that uses that, but it's kind of obsolete now. Anyways, you could also drag and drop onto that same track a MIDI file. You just do the same thing. You click it, drag it, drop it, and it also creates that same beat. But I've already got this one loaded with Kontakt, so it'll play that drum track. So I'm going to delete this one. Okay, delete. Okay, so now if I play this track, you'll hear that beat that we just selected. So I'm going to play it now. And then once it ends, that's the end of that beat, that measure. Okay. And if I was to repeat this measure over and over and over again, it would just keep playing until it's done. We are going to do that in a minute. We're going to stretch that out to the length of the song that we want. But before I stretch it out, I want to edit that measure so that when I stretch it out, it's that measure repeated, and I don't have to go back into every measure that I stretch it out to and change each of those drums. I only want to do it once. So that's super important. Before you do any sort of stretching or adding, do your editing at the earliest stage here, because you'll have to do a lot more work later if you don't. Okay? So just edit the first measure that you added first and then stretch it out. And you'll see what that means in just a second. All right, so I'm going to actually get into this MIDI file, right? This file we just created here. We're going to get in and edit that. So I'm going to just kind of highlight it. You just click it. And you can double click on it, and it brings up this, which is called a piano roll. Okay. You can also you can get into it a few different ways. It'll once you click on it, it'll edit it here. You can get into it from down here in this little taskbar. But whichever way you get into it, it doesn't matter. Just make sure you double click on it or open it from down here and get into it. But each of these little dots that you see here, that's the MIDI note. Okay? And you can edit each of these notes in any way you possibly want. You can delete it. You can add more. You can change how loud you want it to be. You can change the length that you want that note to ring out. You can change, there's anything. It's at this point, you can change, if you say, instead of having this bass drum hit, instead of having that kick drum, if you want to have it somewhere else, say instead of a kick, you wanted a snare. Look, now all those kicks are snares, but we don't want that. Okay, so before we start editing, I just want to give you a real quick tutorial on the toolbar. Okay, so you have a toolbar in the bottom left. It's got these icons here. You got like what they call the Smart tool, the Select tool, Move tool, Edit, Draw, and Erase. You can use any of these from down here, or if you click the little wheel on your mouse, if you push it in, it also brings it up in your workspace. And that's really handy because if you're up here working, You don't have to go all the way down to the corner, select it, and then go back to where you're working. You can just say, I want to be right here. I just click that little wheel, click whatever tool I want, and then you click whatever you want to do. Okay, so just kind of a quick hotkey, I guess is what you call it. So, all right, so I want to change. I don't want that many hats. Okay, there's too many hi-hats playing. We want to remove some of those. I want this song to be kind of slow. All right. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna set up my toolbar here the way that I want it. I never use this wrench. I put it in split, and I'll kind of give you an idea what the split tool does in a minute. But you're gonna use a smart tool quite a bit. It does a little bit of everything, but it doesn't do everything the most efficiently. It does everything well, but each of the individual tools, it does all of this stuff on its own, this one tool, but each of these do it better than this one tool by itself. Okay, so I can edit this. See, okay, the smart tool will allow me to move it, that little up, down, left, right arrow key. That means you can move this note anywhere you want. I don't know what I just did there. The smart tool, if you go to the end or the beginning of the note, that means you can stretch that note out. If you select it, if you click it and drag, you can select it, drag it out. Right now, the smart tool is letting me draw, so I could draw a note wherever I want. That changes the velocity, so the how loud the note is hit or played. But it doesn't do it perfectly. It's better if you use the actual tool itself. But you'll use the smart tool quite a bit. Just it's handy, but it's better to use. It's more efficient to use the other tools because they do exactly what they're supposed to do the way they're supposed to do it. Okay. So right now, I mean, just the select tool. You can select. You can left click and drag over like a whole bunch of notes. Say you wanted to delete all those notes, you could just select all those and hit the delete button. They'd go away. The select tool is meant just to select that note. If I want to click individual notes, you can just select it. If I want to get rid of these 3 notes, you just drag around them. If you want to erase notes, you can use a little, looks like a razor blade, or maybe it is an eraser. I don't know. But you just left click on them and they go away. Draw tool, I mean, that's how you draw notes in. You just, if I want notes here, just draw them in. Anyways, so let's go ahead and edit this. Enough about the toolbar there. Let's get to editing. All right, so I'm going to get the erase tool out because I'm going to delete some of these notes. So let's play it again. So I'm going to erase this, and I'm going to erase, those are the hi-hats. I'm going to erase this snare hit here. And I'm going to make this a snare hit. Let's see what this sounds like. Okay, that's starting to sound like what I want. Okay, now you're going to be creating patterns. I mean, if you notice, they got this grid here. You're basically creating a pattern, and it's just going to repeat that pattern over and over and over again. It's just a pattern. So if we replicate this pattern, kick, hat, snare on the grid. See, these got this grid line here. So we're gonna go kick, hat, snare, hat. We're gonna go back to hat. So get rid of those hats, that snare, get rid of these guys. So now we got a pattern. This is the actual pattern right here. And actually, the snare hit is a side snare. It's like a rim hit on a snare. Okay, so now remember it's kick, hat, snare. We're going to move it up. Okay. That one moved a little bit. Let me give you a quick idea what that means. So if I just select this, it's going to go all over the place. Okay. We don't want that to move. We want that to stay exactly where it's at so the timing is the right timing. So if you hit shift, if you hold down the shift button while you drag it, it will not move left or right. It'll only go up or down. So it saves the exact timing that it is supposed to be played at. Okay. So the shift button, hold the shift button, and it'll move up and down only. It won't move left or right and change your timing. We want to get rid of these. And we want to get rid of these. Okay. So let's go back to the beginning of this groove we just created and see what it sounds like. That's exactly what I want it to sound like. So that's perfect. All right, so I'm gonna go back to the the toolbar here, and we're gonna find out which one we want. I'm gonna use this smart bar. I like for this type of stuff. I'm using the smart tool for lots of stuff. See, okay. When I go, excuse me. When I go onto the MIDI track that we've created, you'll see these ends light up. That means you can edit it. See how now you get the little arrow pulled up? It even shows you which way you can pull it. I can drag it to the left. I can drag it to the right. It doesn't do anything though. If you notice, the MIDI notes stay right there. They didn't change. So it's just dead space right now. If you hit Control Z, it's just like using any sort of Windows hotkeys. Control Z undoes, I guess is how you'd say it. It undoes what you've done. It's the undo hotkey. So I use Control Z an awful lot. I'll make a track, I'll make a beat, and then like I won't like it, and I'll hit undo, and it goes back to right where it was the step before you changed it. You can do it a few times also in Sonar. I'm sure all DAWs are similar but different. So, but if you're using Sonar, that's how it works here. Okay. Now what we're going to do here, we want to stretch this loop out. We want to stretch it for a while because right now we have about 3 to 4 seconds worth of a song. Okay. So there's not much there. I'm going to minimize this because I want to get more of a playing field here. I'm going to minimize. I'm going to just use the little minus bar. And I'm going to go to the little MIDI loop we created. And I'm going to right click on it. Okay. And we're going to go down to where it says Groove Clip Looping. Groove Clip Looping. All right, we're going to select it. Okay, I'm going to show you what happens when we do that. We're going to go to the MIDI file here we created. I don't know where to go. Here it is. Right now, before I made any change, it looked like this. It's a square. It just, you can't edit, you can't extend it. It's just, that's the loop. There's nothing you can do other than what that does right there. Once I hit Groove Clip Looping, you'll notice that the ends of that loop they've created have been dog-eared. They have a 45-degree dog ear there. And now you can extend this thing. Now, whatever you do, whatever that loop you created, when you drag it out to the right here, it will replicate that over and over and over and over again for as long as you want your song. So I'm going to drag it out to, we're going to drag it out a while. It doesn't matter. That puts us at a song of 7 minutes. Okay. If I was to hear that beat for 7 minutes, I'd drive myself crazy. But that beat now is going to play for 7 minutes and 12 seconds, it looks like. So. All right. So that's, it does what we want it to do. All right. And if you'll notice, everywhere these dog ears are at, that's the beginning and the end of that loop you created. So it's the same exact timing. This is the original we created. Here's where it's replicated. That's the first time. Here's the second time, and it on and on and on and on, and it just plays on for however long you created the song. All right. Um, I think that's. I mean, it's a super long tutorial, so I'll just leave it at this for now.